boys and girls, it's time for another lesson. And this is a very special lesson. But let's remember what we talked about last time. We learned about Palm Sunday. All the people were so excited, they pulled palm branches off of the trees and waved them to celebrate Jesus' triumphal entry into Jerusalem. So, a few days had passed, and now it's time to celebrate Passover. Remember, that's the feast that they first celebrated in Exodus, the night that they left Egypt, when the death angel passed over their homes because they had painted the blood of the lamb on their doorpost, and they were protected by the blood of the lamb. And so they had their first Passover meal with the bitter herbs to remind them of the bitterness of slavery, the roasted lamb, and the unleavened bread that was flat. It didn't have time to rise, so it had no yeast in it. And that brings us to the Passover supper that Jesus had with his disciples. So let's read in Luke chapter 22. Jesus sent Peter and John, saying, "Go and make preparations for us to eat the Passover." They said, "Where do you want us to prepare it?" And he said, "As you enter the city, a man carrying a jar of water will meet you. Follow him to the house that he enters, and say to the owner of the house, 'The teacher asks, where is the guest room, where I may eat the Passover with my disciples?' And he will show you a large upper room, all furnished. Make preparations there." So here's our Jerusalem home, and it has an upper room. So this would be the guest room. Now, many homes had stairs or steps that you could go up on the roof. They may not have had a roof and walls. It may just have been the open rooftop that you could go up and see the stars. But we're not exactly sure what the upper room looked like that Jesus and his disciples went to have their Passover meal. But this is a good guess. So now, let's go into the upper room and see what it may have looked like. We have the unleavened bread. See how flat it is? We have the bitter herbs. For our bitter herbs tonight, I have a horseradish root, and it is very bitter. It will bring tears to your eyes. And we have the roasted lamb. And we have a few other things too, some grapes and figs and dates from the date palm tree, and a mixture of what we call now cheroseth, and we'll learn more about that in our next segment. So, the Jewish people celebrate this meal still today. And there's no reason that we as Christians can't celebrate the Passover meal as well. We're going to learn more about the Passover meal and how the Jewish people celebrate it in our next segment. So I'll see you in just a few minutes.